Element 115, the fuel they had, was stable. In other words, it didn't decay, it wasn't emitting radiation.
That lab-made moscovium is too short-lived to be relevant. Lazar claimed the extraterrestrial version was stable, with isotopes not found on Earth. For believers, this was vindication. Lazar described an element years before science confirmed that element 115 remains the linchpin of his story, the key to unlocking impossible technology. The hand scanner, a glimpse of the future. Bob Lazar described a hand scanner at S4, unlike anything known in the 1980s. Employees placed their hands on a panel where pins of light measured the length of their bones. It mapped skeletal structure, not fingerprints. Critics dismissed it as fantasy. Decades later, eyewitness photographs surfaced, showing identical biometric scanners, rectangular panels of pale light, designed to authenticate identity by measuring bone structures. How could Lazar have described such an obscure device with such precision? For believers, another piece of the puzzle snaps into place. For critics, the silence is deafening. The hand scanner, though less sensational than flying saucers, presents a powerful challenge to disbelief. It was real, and Lazar spoke of it before the world knew it existed. The Joe Rogan interview, a story goes viral. In 2019, Bob Lazar's story reached a new audience on the Joe Rogan Experience. The podcast episode became a cultural phenomenon. Rogan, known for his tough questioning, seemed struck by Lazar's measured tone. He wasn't selling anything. He seemed weary, weighed down by his testimony. Lazar reiterated how the craft at S4 generated gravitational fields, warping space-time. He didn't exaggerate or contradict his earlier statements. Rogan pressed him on recent UFO disclosures. Lazar conceded that some of the new photos and documents aligned with his claims. His reticence lent credibility to his story. The interview went viral, sparking debates across mainstream media, science, and conspiracy forums. For many, it was their first time hearing the story firsthand. Some began to question whether the impossible might be true. Aerial images of Groom Lake, unmasking the secret. The first declassified aerial images of Groom Lake offered the clearest view yet of Area 51. What had been blurred or hidden was now exposed. Runways carved into the desert, massive hangars, vast testing areas. For decades, Groom Lake was a whispered name denied by the government. These photos confirmed what locals suspected. This was no ordinary airfield. The scale of the facility stunned researchers. Dry lake beds had become landing strips, enormous hangars hinting at projects too large to dismiss. Skeptics saw only high-end aerospace projects. Believers saw confirmation of Lazar's descriptions: massive runways, isolation, infrastructure for testing craft never seen by the public. Researchers noted unusual markings on the desert floor, geometric forms, hardened areas unlike standard aircraft testing zones. Were they landing zones, propulsion test sites, or traces of something not meant to be recognized? Groom Lake's secrets, once mere rumors, were captured in photographs, raising new questions. Underground facilities, secrets beneath the surface. The declassified photos revealed images suggesting underground facilities buried in the hillsides around Groom Lake. More than just storage or shelter, they appeared as hidden entrances large enough for massive craft. Bob Lazar had described these. Decades earlier at S4, hangars carved into the mountain, camouflaged to blend with the rock concealing alien craft. Skeptics dismissed this as imagination. The photos suggested these concealed hangars existed. From above, the entrances appeared as shadows, their symmetry unmistakable. They weren't natural formations. Some had markings and access roads. Satellite images revealed alterations, as though the sites were refurbished or camouflaged. Why build underground when there was so much space above ground? Military engineers might say it was for secrecy and protection from prying eyes. Others suggest it concealed something the government didn't want the public to see. For believers, the images endorsed Lazar's testimony. For skeptics, clever engineering. But the photos suggested that Area 51's true activity happened deep beneath the desert. Structures removed, vanishing evidence. One of the most puzzling discoveries came from comparing declassified photos over time. Structures visible in one set 12 images vanished in later releases. Buildings, hangars, entire sections of the desert appeared altered as if erased. Skeptics suggested simple updates, old facilities dismantled or replaced. But the disappearances didn't follow logical patterns. A hangar clearly visible in one photo would be gone in another, leaving no trace. For Bob Lazar's supporters, this was chilling confirmation. He had claimed the most sensitive projects were hidden in facilities concealed from the public eye. If a photo accidentally revealed one, would the government obscure it from future releases? Some even suggested mobile or retractable buildings. Others accused the government of digitally manipulating the photos. Regardless, the vanishing structures added to the enigma. Redacted documents, the power of what's hidden. Alongside the photos came thousands of pages of official documents, many heavily redacted. Entire paragraphs, sometimes whole pages, were blacked out. For researchers, these black bars spoke volumes. If the photos and records were harmless, why conceal so much? Some redactions occurred in technical sections or obscured references to facilities that appeared in photos, but were later erased from public view. The censorship deepened suspicion. Bob Lazar predicted this compartmentalization at S4, scientists, seeing only a few pieces of the puzzle. The documents echoed that philosophy. History could be glimpsed, but the details remained hidden behind layers of ink. Skeptics saw standard practice for protecting national security. Believers saw a smoking gun indicating a cover-up. Why cover up descriptions of test flights if they were only about spy planes or stealth bombers? Why keep secret the layout of facilities photographed from space? Each blacked-out line ignited speculation. Were they hiding top-secret prototypes, or something even stranger? The answers seemed buried not in what was revealed, but in what was purposely redacted. Prototype or UFO? The ultimate question. Some photos show craft unlike conventional aircraft, too advanced to be dismissed as accidents. Smooth, disc-like shapes, oval bodies without wings or exhaust. Are these top-secret military prototypes or genuine UFOs? Skeptics point to America's history of classified breakthroughs. The U-2 spy plane, the SR-71 Blackbird, and the stealth bomber all looked alien in their time. Believers argue that these craft lack visible propulsion systems, matching Bob Lazar's descriptions of anti-gravity craft that manipulated space-time. The redacted documents accompanying some of the photos add to the mystery. Why be so secretive about prototypes? Are these photographs glimpses into the future of military technology? Or do they prove that mankind has been studying machines not built on this Earth? The line has never been thinner. S4 test site, where it all began. If Area 51 is the fortress, S4 is the vault. Hidden south of Groom Lake, it has been described as the epicenter of the government's most secretive programs. Bob Lazar claimed he was taken there, entering through disguised hangar doors built into a mountainside, finding something unlike anything the world had ever seen. Declassified aerial photos revealed faint lines tracing roads leading into the hillside near Papoose Lake, terminating at suspiciously uniform shapes. Skeptics saw shadows and rock formations. Believers saw camouflaged entrances to underground hangars matching Lazar's descriptions. Lazar claimed there were 9 alien spacecraft within S4, scientists and engineers working in isolated groups, each managing a small piece of the technology. The consistency of Lazar's claims makes them harder to disprove. The hand scanners, the sport model saucer, underground labs. He detailed everything long before any of the photos hinted at something unusual in that area. The photos don't prove his story, but they give his testimony context. Unidentified objects. What are they? When declassified photos of Area 51 began circulating, researchers noticed objects that didn't match any known aircraft. Sleek, metallic. Shapes eerily similar to the discs described in eyewitness reports. One image showed a reflective object hovering above the desert floor with no visible support. Skeptics dismissed it as lens glare or a weather balloon. Believers saw undeniable resemblance to Bob Lazar's descriptions. These crafts didn't rely on aerodynamic lift or traditional propulsion. The narrative is strengthened by the context of the photos. These weren't blurry civilian photos. These were classified images from official surveillance equipment, If they were only prototypes, why the blacked-out documentation and decades of secrecy? Pilots noted the absence of flight surfaces. Military planes require wings or stabilizers. These objects appeared to float, weightless and self-contained. Were they experimental drones, or glimpses of technology not of this Earth? Either way, these unidentified objects fueled the Area 51 fire. Tic-Tac connection, a modern confirmation. In 2004, U.S. Navy pilots encountered the Tic-Tac UFO off the coast of California, oval-shaped, white and smooth, moving with physics-defying speed. Declassified Pentagon footage confirmed the sighting. Some of the newly released Area 51 photos appear to show objects uncannily similar to the Tic-Tac shape, sleek ovals sitting on the desert floor or hovering above it in surveillance images, captured decades before the Navy incident. Bob Lazar had talked about craft generating their own gravitational fields, bending space and time. Navy pilots saw the Tic-Tac drop from 60,000 feet to just above sea level in seconds, turning at impossible angles. Lazar's claims of gravity propulsion suddenly seemed less far-fetched. Skeptics dismiss the shapes as early drones or experimental prototypes. Believers see unmistakable continuity, the same design, the same physics-defying movement, appearing across decades and locations.